5 o'clock, Mr. Chairman.
It's 5 o'clock, so we're going to open the Rules and Legislative meeting. All the members are present and accounted for, so let us pray. Our Father, who art the hope of all the earth, remember us in love and guide us by thine wisdom. We ask thee to grant blessings upon thy servants, our community leaders, our county mayor, our commissioners, our city mayor, and councilmen. Bless us with wisdom, goodness, and truth. May law and order, justice, and peace prevail. Defend our liberties, preserve our unity, protect our county. To the honor of thy holy name. Amen.
Amen.
The first item is approval of March 18th, 2025 Rules and Legislative Committee minutes.
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I think there were 56 veterans that visited the office in March, and there were 50 veterans that were transported to the VA hospitals. Any other school? And we got Mr. Ely. You have any other? Okay. Do we have any questions or discussion for Mr. Ely or the commission? Okay, being none, we're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the next is just for our information only. We had the clinic report, as we generally do, the March community clinic report. Medical report, they served 75 members, which that's about normally what they do medically. And on the dental side, in March, they served 89 patients. So that's just for our own information. Is there any comments or questions concerning the community clinic monthly report? Being none, we'll go on to the next one. The next one is the Ag Center report. Commissioner Bill Anderson is chairperson.
Nothing to report. We had a situation to where there wasn't a lot going on at the Ag Center. We didn't have it rented due to weather and some other things. And basically, a bunch of my guys went, hey, as you can understand, Commissioner Farrah, so it was going to be hard to have a meeting. So we're just going to come. We skip this month. We'll come back next month. And my guys went all out the hayfield.
Okay. Is any questions for Mr. Anderson outside they didn't meet? Okay, being none, we'll go on to the next old business is a budget committee formation that we discussed thoroughly last month, and it was deferred and stayed in committee. It's the proposal, which we proposed it. It's a 5-member budget committee. It was to be established to oversee the preparation, review, and recommendation of the county's annual budget in accordance with the 1981 Financial Management Act of Tennessee, and it was favored by the Tennessee Code annotated. I believe it was chapter 5, and it went into
21-101.
5. Well, that's not on this that I had, but I've got it here. Okay, it is. So it is Tennessee Code annotated. The slate was listed. It's been adjusted some because two didn't want to serve. But the slate that will be presented was Diane Neely from the 4th District, John Boutwell from the 8th District, Troy Thompson from the 3rd District, Bill Anderson from the 6th District, and Drew Hooker from District 1. And, of course, the financial director, Robert Daniel, is the ex-officio secretary and advisor, and will basically be at all meetings there. This meeting is to 5-member committees to follow up after the other committee, the 7-member committee, starts the processes, and then it's followed up by this 5-member committee. I did call Charlie Curtis again Monday to see if he could come down, but the state is finishing up, and they said they were very, very busy. He might yet be able to come down here, but, and this is quote unquote, he said, Commissioner Farrar, it's just common sense to provide more oversight with a 5-member board. So he is certainly for it. He thinks the county would be better off if we had an additional board that would help with the budget, and I'm in full agreement with him. So it's whatever the committee wishes to do.
I make a motion, we send this to the full commission to vote on.
Second.
Okay, is any other discussion?
Yes,
Floor is
there is
open.
discussion. I'd like to hear from the county attorney, his opinion on what is the process under the 81 Financial Act, of which we have authorized by unanimous decision, I think back in, 2006. What is your opinion on this process? I got a mic.
I'll make this quick. Squire Farrar and I have had a very thorough discussion. Good thing it's long distance or he would whip me. And I too have talked with Charlie Curtis. That the 81 Financial Act, I won't go to the history of that. We approved it in 2006, and then we approved the policies and procedures in 2008. And the manual of those have been on file at the clerk's office. But the specific section that he's talking about is 521-105, and let me just quote that. Special committees. The county legislative body may authorize the committee, speaking of financial management committee, to assume the functions of any or all of the following special committees in this budget investment purchase. Or the county legislative body may by resolution create any one of those. So you can do that. However, the magical word that we discussed quite in detail is or. You can do it either one way or the other. We have taken the first step previously by establishing that, approving the policies and procedures. So I think you can undo that, but you have to go through the process to undo it. Now, I talked to Charlie, and he's of the notion that a county legislative body cannot trump Tennessee law. My position on that is we're not trumping it. We've already complied with it. The real question comes is how can you change it? This was incorporated in our local rules and bylaws as recently as December 2024, and unanimously carried. And the only change in the financial management committee, which is one of the 4 standing committees, was there was some clarity on that, as there was in some of the other standing committees that said concerning anything that came to that committee that concerned the budget or a primary financial request. It's been my position, and it's my position, as Bo Wilson says, not a fair vote, but it's my position, since it's been ratified by that method, we have to undo that. And in order to undo that, you could change our bylaws, but we all know what that takes, and that's a 2/3 vote. So that would be my position, and I think you can do it if you want to do it.
So let me be clear. In order for us to uncouple or decouple from this 81 Financial Act, to get to the county, to get to the floor of the commission, 2/3 vote to decouple from the 81 Act and then change the bylaws as part of this to go to this budget committee. Is that,
If you want to do the budget committee as anticipated by the code, we not only comply with the code, we've actually gone a step beyond that, and we being the county commission. I think all three of these, 6, 8, and 24, were by unanimous consent. I know for sure the one in 24 was, and the one in 8 was approved policies and procedures. So yes, you have either or. This body being the county commission, has taken the either, which was authorizing the financial management committee to assume all those functions.
well, again, I have no idea why we want to change. 2006, the reason we are in this 81 Act is because of the theft that was going on in the county. And I mentioned one in particular. Commissioner Fair mentioned there were several more. Our bond rating was in the toilet. We had no centralized purchasing out there. We had no way to accommodate all of the various departments. So we centralized this. And since that time, our bond rating, according to Moody's, is a AA2 bond rating right now, which is a very high rating for a county our size right here.
Well, let me interrupt you.
A AA3.
Let me interrupt you briefly. There is a way to do this that may very well solve the problem, and that is under the Financial Management Act, which we are, that committee that oversees budgets currently for Action Commission is a 7-member committee. 3 of those are designated by statute, if I recall correctly,
Right.
but 4 are members of your body. I think they could be either members of the body or not. I think, and I don't frankly remember who the 4 are, but you could do that by replacing 4 of the 5 of this committee on the Financial Management Committee without having to do any of the uncoupling, as you call it. And I think, if I recall correctly, the statute provides that committee is established each September or after there, if you don't get to it in September. And I think our local rules have that entire Flint County committee system somewhere during that time frame, September, December, I don't remember that. So that's a solution to it that would seem to satisfy everybody. You've got your 4 members of the county commission, if you choose to have all 4 of those on the county commission, and you've got the 3 members that are mandated by statute. So unless you come out of the financial management committee, they're going to be on that committee, that 7-person committee. So that's a solution.
Let me be sure I understand what you just said, which may take some time for me to ponder over. But you said either or. Are you saying that, I think what the intent here is that the financial committee that it currently exists goes through the budget process, presents a budget, and then this separate committee reviews that and makes a recommendation to the commission? You're saying either or, so you can't have the 2 entities, only one entity under the 81 Act.
What I read was a quote from the statute. The county legislative body may authorize the financial management committee to assume the functions of any or all of these special committees, which budget, investment, purchasing, which we have done.
Right.
Or the county legislative body may, by resolution, create any one of those 3 committees. So what I'm saying is we've already done it. If you want to change it, the commission certainly can change it.
But you can't have the both, 2 of them.
I don't think you have, but it doesn't say either or, it says
so the vote goes up and it takes 2/3 vote, or wait till September and then change the 4
yeah,
members
you
out?
don't have to have 2/3 vote by simply in September changing.
Right.
What am I trying to say? Not constitution. What's the word? Yeah, there you go. Change the committee around where the 4 would fall into line that you want. Now, of course, that's just an action commission, which is done every year. And I made that short, and I'll make it again at the commission meeting if necessary, whatever. As your cousin says, Chairman Fair, my mouth ain't no prayer for it.
I remember the night he told you that.
Yeah. That was the month after he said a listen to our county attorney, that little old attorney general, just lawyers couldn't get a job anywhere else. So it sort of depended on the opinion.
Okay, Commissioner Hooker?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So when we kind of started this process last month, I started doing just a little bit of research on this. I reached out to a friend of mine that's a constitutional attorney that works directly with state government, and also reached out to our county attorney, John T., this week to kind of go through this process so he would be prepared to know exactly what I was going to be talking about tonight. So specifically, go ahead. Okay, so that helps. Okay. Well, but on top of that, he was still talking about specifically something that you brought up multiple times, Commissioner Vick, which is the Dillon rule. And so with that, our bylaws cannot stipulate or change that state law. And with that state law giving us the authority to be able to create a budget committee separate and on top of our finance committee, he was very specific in saying that he felt like that the Dillon rule was enacted in this point to where we could not, in our bylaws, be able to limit what state law says in this statute, which gives us the authority to be able to create this. And so again, his interpretation is that it would not take a bylaw change because our bylaws specifically, due to the Dillon rule, impacted in limiting that in that state statute. So again, that was kind of his position. And then again, with the 105, his also position is that it is an either or who has the authority to finalize and approve the budget for the commission. But again, you can have both, as we've had, and again, several other counties. So again, it's just simply, I think that it's the way you look at it, but I do feel like that the Dillon rule is enacted in this point because our bylaws specifically are limiting state statute. And I don't think that we have the authority to do that. So I think that our current bylaw goes in conflict to the TCA code. So again, as you go through your deliberation, I just wanted to kind of bring that to your attention because I feel like it's important as we go through this to know that we do have the authority, I believe, through simple majority to be able to do that. And again, with all due respect to our county attorney, I do think that with this specific statute, I think it does go in conflict with state law. And so I just think we need to be asking those questions to be able to make sure that we are not, and we're going through the right process if we want to move forward with this. So thank you.
Any other discussion, comments, or questions on the committee or in the audience?
Well, I just want to say if whatever we do here, it would have to be approved, disapproved, or whatever at the May commission meeting. And budget's normally due by the end of June. I think that would be a short runway for a committee to really go through the budget and do it justice. So with that said, I think it would be good here for Charlie Curtis to come. And for John T. has also opine on it again. We have some clarity, but as far as this year is concerned, I just don't think it's a practical matter to have a committee put together second week of May with the budget due by the end of June.
Any other comments? Whatever the committee wants to do, we can push it on, or we don't have to.
Do you think that Charlie would be able to come by May?
Well, yeah, we can probably, if he gets through with his state government work. I mean, he stays busy down there.
I agree. I think he needs to come before the full commission make the decision probably, but if you think he can come by then, we can go
Well,
ahead.
the question begs to, can we do it with simple majority? That's the question, and we can see or not see. But I mean, we need to know. We need to have a ruling on it. We've got a ruling here. There may be another option, depending on how you look at the act.
If you got 10, then suspect anytime, but this flies right in the face of the statute. The fact that there are three county department heads that are on that financial management bothers, and so we have 21. Now, I think the legislature has provided 4 other members help to offset that, but I've said more than I know already.
Well, the proposal's in the rules, so we need to decide. So whatever y'all want to do, we need to have a proposal.
We have a motion and a
A
second.
motion, a second on the floor.
Got a motion second now.
Okay? And what's the motion?
To send it to the
That's like you
commission.
had it. That was
Okay.
right at the front.
Okay. All right, so there is a motion to go and push it to the full commission.
Right.
Okay,
And a second.
and a second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, is that 2? Is there,
No.
Commissioner Bowell?
I'm gonna say no at this point. It's not that
I'm gonna
against
say
it.
yes, and we'll go on and push it, as
Yeah.
Counselor said, and we'll just let it go from there. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't go on to the full commission and be discussed and debated there. So it passes 3-2. Okay? All right, the next item under new business is the resolution to authorize the Bedford County Highway Department to perform work for all city and county governmental entities in Bedford County. This resolution is approved. I'll just read, there's 2 or 3 parts to it, but I'll just read the first one. Whereas the Tennessee Code annotated section 54-7-202 empowers the county governing body, Board of Commissioners, to authorize the county road department to perform work for other governmental entities so long as the cost of the project so authorized is reimbursed to the county road department. And it goes on some others, but we've done this every year. So,
Move to approve.
Second.
all right. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, the next is a resolution prohibiting residential decentralized wastewater system, sometimes referred to as a STEP system. The resolution was requested by the county attorney by Commissioner Bill Anderson, and we'll read, I guess I will read the resolution. This is a resolution prohibiting residential decentralized wastewater systems. Whereas Bedford County, Tennessee, a Tennessee political subdivision, has been vested with substantial power to regulate the use and zoning of real estate for the purposes of maintaining the health, morals, safety, security, peace, and general welfare of the county and its residents, which includes the governmental purpose of this prohibition is for the reasons stated herein. And the second, whereas the Tennessee Department of Environmental and Conservation, TDEC, has recently conducted a state review of existing STEP systems, which review found that approximately 1/2 of all the systems were defective. And whereas, this is the third, the commission considers it paramount that the land use regulation continue in the most orderly and predictable fashion with the least amount of disturbance to landowners and the county residents. And the fourth, whereas the concept of general public welfare is broad and inclusive and is within the power and the prerogative of the commission to determine and ensure that the residential development be implemented in the best interest of the county as a whole. And whereas the commission accordingly has significant concerns regarding the potential impact of future use of decentralized wastewater systems, specifically including STEP systems, and whereas the commission has determined it to be in the best interest of the county and its residents to implement this resolution until such time as TDEC or other appropriate authority have developed and implemented sufficient standards and monitoring processes to assess the proper installation and operation of decentralized wastewater systems to protect the safety, welfare, and property rights of the landowners of Bedford County. And the last, whereas this prohibition is in the best interest of the health, welfare, and safety of the county and its residents, and wholly consistent with the police and other powers vested in the county. And that's basically, and it says now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Bedford County, that goes on our, with vote. So it's open for discussion.
Public comment, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to public comments, so anybody like to speak, you can raise your hand. I recognize you. Come up to the, I saw yours first, and you can come up and state your name, and maybe what district you're in, and then you go with your comments.
Yes, sir. I'm in District 4, and I've came here every time when there's been a meeting about the wastewater authority and the step systems. I came to the study, and that was on a Friday night, and I stayed for the complete meeting, and I wanted to get a real good understanding of just exactly how this system works. And I've done some research on my own as well. Bedford County has a lot of rock, and also a lot of the soils. There's a whole different animal as to, half acre lots, 3/4 acre lots, and then you have to have a perk site on a 1 acre lot for septic system that's been working for a long time. I just feel like that, that's an overreach. There's no real explanation as to what this wastewater authority has unlimited power to do, what their end goals will be, how they will rule over, all your constituents, all us Bedford County residents. I just don't think that the wastewater step system, being in its infancy, and they're trying to, make some changes where it has more of a successability rate rather than 50%. And, that's going to depend on, like I said, the saturation, the water table, a lot of other things. And it's not as deep as a septic system. So I'm not for it. And I'm not opposed to Bedford County, growing and having infrastructure, and more businesses and homes of that such and that nature. But I don't think a step system is the way to go currently, the way that it is. And I think there needs to be a lot more homework done on that. And I just don't feel that that's pertinent for what all of us need or want.
Thank you, sir. Okay, gentleman here, I believe you're next. Yes, sir. You come up and state your name and what district you live in, and yes, it is. It's District 1.
Get that part right, please. My name is Chuck Craig, District 1, live in Bell Buckle. When you talk about a step system, a septic tank effluent pumping system, the way this resolution is worded, is it intended to regulate a new subdivision that's going to have that type of sewer system for each lot, each house? Or is it intended to regulate a single house on a piece of property? And the way it's worded, it doesn't exclude regulating a single house on a piece of property. I have a piece of property in Bell Buckle. It's hilly. It had a perk site on it, what I call the good dirt, a perk site. I chose to build a house in a location on that lot that made the driveway easy to build, made the water line easy to get in there, made the electricity easy to get to my house. And it just so happens the good dirt is about 15 feet in elevation higher than my septic tank. So I have a septic tank that overflows into another smaller tank that has a submersible pump in it. And it's pumping just the wastewater from this one house, 2-bedroom house, uphill to a normal drain field. And the way that's worded, someone in the future could say, you can't build a house like that, because that is septic tank effluent pumping. Now, there's the first step system I was ever aware of is at Fairfield Glade in Cumberland County, which serves probably 500 houses. Been there 40 years, functioning. But they have a maintenance department that took responsibility for that entire system and they maintain it. Some smaller subdivisions that have been built, they build that system and the developer's gone down the road. 10 years later, if something needs maintained, there's a question about who's supposed to maintain it. I understand that. But if you're going to pass this resolution, I'd like to see wording in there that specifically says this is not intended to regulate a single house that just so happens to have to pump the wastewater out of the septic tank uphill to a normal drain field.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, is the public comment still open? Anyone else like to speak? Yeah, okay, yes. Like to state your name? Where you live?
Fifth District. I am a longtime resident of this county, and I want to see growth. And as a veteran, a resident, a property owner, business owner, and a father, I care about the growth of our community. I've watched this area grow and evolve over the years, and like so many others, I want to see our community thrive, not just exist. I'm concerned about the proposed resolution to prohibit decentralized wastewater systems, such as step systems. This move could seriously hinder responsible growth and limit opportunities for families who want to build quality homes in our county. Even more concerning, it risks devaluing land, stripping property owners of the ability to make reasonable decisions about their land. That's not just a planning issue, it's a property rights issue. We all want a beautiful county, one that protects our character while supporting a strong local economy, healthy neighborhoods, and good opportunities for the future. This means making practical, forward-thinking decisions that support infrastructure options, just not cutting them off. I understand that policies sometimes need to be made or updated to meet changing needs, but closing the door on flexibility, I don't believe is the answer. We need options that allow us to address our challenges, our creativity, and not blanket prohibitions that limit our potential and hurt local families. We can't afford to box ourselves into a situation where stagnation or decline are the only outcomes. I want the families in this county to give them the chance to live and work here with access to safe, quality housing. Let's not make decisions today that limit our economic potential, devalue our property, and close our doors on a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, I think, yes, sir, you can step up.
Thanks, sir. Casey Kesselring. I live in District 1 in Wartrace. I know a lot more about wastewater than I care to. When I moved to Florida some 25 years ago, I led an organization that had its own wastewater treatment plant. So discussions about sludge and aeration systems and holding tanks and leakage ponds, et cetera, is more familiar to me than I care to. But I also want to draw a perspective to the situation because I really think it boils down to reasonable oversight. Imagine when I moved here in 1993, I invested in real estate here, went to look at a piece of property one time, and I asked where the septic tank was. And I was told that there's a 50-gallon barrel over there. And so I won't tell you where that is, and it's not there anymore. But my point being is that if we had oversight of all wastewater, we would find problems, even with your residential septic tanks. Many of them are very old, homes that are old. Those systems have never been replaced. There might be bricks in the ground as a holding tank, et cetera. That we have decentralized wastewater options is a good thing. Whether that system is effective or not, it really comes down to the oversight of how they're done. And I would really encourage the committee to pause and to let some of this legislation that's currently in place. I sent an email to you all late this afternoon about Senate Bill 564 and House Bill 813. And this is directly correlated. It's actually called the Wastewater Advancement Through Enhanced Reform. And what it would require, if you're going to use or allow step systems to be used, is for those to be bonded, for those to be supervised and overseen by a third party that's in good standing with the state. There are some assurances in place that there won't be issues with the operational standards of those step systems. The second thing, and I sent this email to you as well, in Florida, where I lived, we had similar challenges in some of the rural areas that did not have access to public utilities. And we had to find suitable solutions. And as you know, there are other decentralized wastewater systems other than step systems. And I sent you some information about such a system that we used in Florida. It's very successful. It's recently been approved in the state of Alabama. It's called On-Site. Sent that information to you, would encourage you to take a look at it, and ultimately would really encourage you to take a step back and allow the legislation currently to get through. It's being supported by TDEC. TDEC did not release that study with the intention of prompting counties to eliminate the use of step systems, rather to draw attention to the need for more oversight. And that's what the legislation will accomplish. So I would ask you to please kindly take a look at that. Keep our options open as we continue to manage growth in Bedford County.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I'm Robbie Spiller, and I'm glad y'all have given me an opportunity to speak to y'all tonight about my concerns regarding the proposal resolution and to prohibit decentralized waste systems, including step systems throughout the county. I feel if passed, this would directly and unfairly impact landowners like me by stripping away our ability to make reasonable use of our land. I've lived in Bedford County for over 50 years, and I've lived at the same address in Deason for 36 years. I've invested my life, my time, efforts right here in this community, all but a few of them as a single woman, running a business and maintaining a farm that I love and a home for myself and countless animals over the years, all with no government assistance or any help from anybody else. All the while, regarding this as my security, my retirement, and my future, while all the while being a very good steward of my land, I feel this proposal could drastically reduce the value of my property and the financial stability I've worked really decades to build and maintain. I love this county, this town, and the people here. I would love for it to remain the same small community that I moved to here in the 80s, and that's really the 70s. However, change is inevitable. We've all seen it coming. We have worked hard to attract industry and growth here in Bedford County, and we are experiencing it in leaps and bounds. Believe me, come to 231 on any afternoon, you'll see it. But by taking away the options and providing a balance and not providing balanced solutions, we won't stop the change and growth that has come to our beautiful part of the world. We all want what's best for Bedford County. I sure do. I love this place. I moved here from Alabama, and that says a lot. So, but we must respect the rights of those who have put down roots here and invest our hearts and souls here. I really sincerely hope we can find a solution that will work for everybody concerned. And I just want to tell you that where I moved from in Alabama was a farming country, and my dad farmed over 2,000 acres, and where we were out in the country looks like Thompson Lane now. It's coming. You can't stop it. And I live in a great place where it's like being out in the country. I encourage people to stop and enjoy the animals and the scenery and everything, and it's great. I wish it wouldn't change, but it's going to. And So hopefully we can reach a balance of that and where we all can live with it. But understand, guys, I've kept this property and maintained it by myself in order for this to be my retirement and my security. And when you take away most of my options, that's a hard pill to swallow. Thank you for your time.
Okay, anyone else would like to speak? Okay, yes, sir.
I never get these things right. Half these people here that all our realtor friends, and over half of them are my friends. So when y'all boo me, I can tell whose voice it is. I want to know them. But I wanted to talk about step system just a little bit. I don't know anything about step systems. Don't want to know anything about them. I have enough sewerage that I hear on Facebook, so I don't really need to know about that. But what I did do was come to the meetings about wastewater, and I listened to the experts talk about what step systems are and how reliable they are. I think 50% failure rate tells me I wouldn't want it. If you told me my house was going to fall in, every other house in my neighborhood was going to fall in a little while, I'd say don't build it. Be what I'd tell you. If you told me that every other house in my neighborhood, the septic tank was going to fail, I'd say, golly, I'm not buying out there. There's no way I'm going to buy out there because I don't want to. Now, the experts that came and from the state, and there was 3 of them came and spoke, and they explained the sewer systems, the step systems, and all that stuff. Not one of those 3 thought it was a good idea. Y'all were here. Y'all saw that, heard them. They didn't say it wasn't a good idea to ever have one because some of them work. Every other one works. Now, Bedford County, that's an average, by the way. 50%, that was an average that they get. They said there was 438 of them in Tennessee, and so that means 200 and something of them failed. If that's the case, that's a whole lot of trouble. Now, I've talked to some people, and they told me, said, well, don't worry about it. We'll put it in the HOA, and the HOA, the people have to pay for it. When it fails, they'll have to pay for it. Okay. I'm sure all these people, I don't want to say it lightly, but I know when my wife and I got married, if my septic tank had failed, I don't know if I had the money in the bank to have it pumped out, much less you come around and assess me a couple of thousand, 10,000, whatever it is. I don't know how many houses would be on the septic tank, but however many you say has got to pay for that. I don't believe a lot of these kids starting out can do that. I'll be honest with you. I think that would fall back on something else. Now, we talked about the wastewater authority, so when you're voting for this, and one of the gentlemen already spoke about it very fluently, by the way. I thought he did a good job. But when you're talking about this, you're also talking about, okay, we're going to have something to regulate it. We can't just put that in because half of them fail. We got to have somebody inspect them, watch them, work on them. So that means we're back to the wastewater authority, which I don't think it's very popular in this county. I don't believe it's the thing we need, and I would urge you guys. And like this gentleman said, it shouldn't affect. I don't know. Maybe the language needs to say on your own property. It shouldn't affect somebody with a regular sewer system on their own property. When it says 1 acre, it should say at least 1 acre. So you've got it on wherever you're at on your property. That should be good, whether this resolution passes or not. I would just urge you guys to consider the resolution and pass it.
Any other comments? Anyone else would like to speak? Okay, Mr. Yaki.
Playing devil's advocate on all of this, passing this resolution should originate at the Planning Commission. And since we have the county attorney here, he can address that a little bit because we would have to incorporate this into the resolution.
Any other public comment? Okay, yeah, good. Chris White.
So what Linda's talking about, of course, Linda's been the secretary of the plan commission since we've had a plan commission. So she understands how this works. You know, when the state legislature created the ability to, for a county or a city to have a planning commission, they understood that there's the legislative aspect of government and there's the administrative aspect of government. The administrative aspect of government essentially enforces the policy that you guys create. You guys create the policy through the legislative process. They bifurcated this process that very intentionally to avoid the politicization of people's property rights. That's why they did that. So it's a very intentional thing. TCA, well, I know a lot of people have been talking about the law tonight, but because I do this every day for a living, and I've been doing it for a long time, TCA, I have to know these things. And my job a lot of times is just to help guide the committees that I administrate and you guys. But the law says that for a zoning resolution to come to bear in the county commission, it has to be in order to have the effect of law, it has to be derived in the planning commission. You guys don't. You can. It's not illegal. It's not. You're not breaking the law if you want to try to pass some resolution that has the effect of a zoning change. It just doesn't have the effect of law. That's what the state statute says. So I think it's pretty clear. You guys can pass it, and you guys can pass it at the commission level, but it's not going to have the effect of law. And so I think if you wanted to do it, you would want to contact the planning commission and have them weigh in on the situation before you try to move it on up. That's my opinion.
Any other public comment? And then we'll go back to committee.
I'd like to start if y'all don't mind.
Hang on, one more.
One more.
Okay.
Got to have you here.
Don't inspect, 50% do inspect, house inspection, falling down, not house, this house inside. You gotta have inspection. Still business, you have to have inspection, and, house building, you have to have inspection. They make sure. And this, it's all about inspection. We have 50%, I'm sure, will fully inspect. Yes, they're going to pay. And 50% of them probably were inspected correctly, and they're going to pay. So I don't think you can say 50% failure and pass. I think it's all of the inspection.
Okay, okay. Okay, wait, let this gentleman on the back, he can come, oh, it's his second time as well. Chris, you'd like to have the last comment?
I'll probably talk loud. But so much conversation, so many things have been said about this stuff. And the ironic part of it is the genesis of this whole wastewater authority, you can blame it on me, the genesis of this thing came from me, okay? And so why didn't anybody ask me about that? Why didn't anybody ask me about the wastewater authority? Why didn't anybody ask me about any of this stuff? Because I answer your questions. In the meetings, I answer your questions. I don't go into a lot of detail unless you ask me for the detail. I had a presentation from TDEC in my office, in my conference room, the full detail of that report, that year-long report. Yes, 50% of them failed. 0 failed in Rutherford County from CUD because they manage them, because they take care of them, because they follow a decent set of guidelines. The 50% that failed, 25% of them were serious failures. 25% of them were very minor failures, fixable failures. They just weren't being managed. They told that
Ma'am, would you wait for him?
Yeah,
You're
I'll get
welcome.
into- I'll
You're
get
free to
into that.
speak, but let him finish.
I'll get
and then
into
you can
that.
come to the
So
microphone.
essentially, they told us that CUD in Rutherford County was the model for the Southeast, not for the state of Tennessee, for the entire Southeast. They had 0 failures. They've managed 9,000 houses on step system. 9,000. So the state says it's good technology. So why would we want to deny ourselves of good technology? Okay? It's bad technology when you don't design them correctly, and it's horrible technology when you don't manage them. One of the sites they showed me on a video had a gate up that trees had grown up in front of. They had never been inspected. They're supposed to be inspected twice a month. Never been inspected. When you guys hear of some of the little things that you hear in these meetings, it doesn't make you an expert, okay? It just doesn't. So there's a lot of information out there, a lot of really powerful information out there that you guys need to know, okay? It's I don't understand. I'm having a hard time with this because it's so short-sighted, okay? I don't know what else to say about it.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
great technology, and I don't think we need to be limited ourselves to that.
Yes. Would you like to comment now? There you go. Yeah, okay, Mr. Thomas.
John, tell you, and I don't want to put nobody on the spot, but if the state currently allows this to be done, then can we as a county say we're not going to abide by the state and their rules or laws or whatever? I don't know. But the state says that this can be done. I don't know. And I don't want to put you on this.
They say we can do it. They don't say we have to. So we have to break the full start. But it's currently accepted technology.
A lot of people have said of really great things tonight, and I wanted to add a little insight from maybe a couple of point of views that I have. On private septic tanks, they don't not fail. Because they're private, we aren't made privy to how often they fail or how they are abused. I do have some knowledge of how the abuse goes on or how the overuse of private systems does occur. A regulated step system that has some inspections going on would be a good thing versus those type of abuse systems. Now, that said, I think the resolution on the floor that you have to limit the use of step systems is taking away property owners' rights, and it's unfairly increasing the value of some property owners while decreasing the value of others. And I think maybe a devil advocate point of view would be that it's targeting farmlands for development that have good soils and could be future development sites, where the ones maybe that only have small areas that would accommodate a step system would no longer be able to be developed. So I think you're taking away that value of a property owner. Something else is that, I'm not for overdevelopment, but we also have our children who have to have a place to live. So growth is a must that must happen in a community, but it does need to be managed. And if this is a point to try to limit growth, I don't think this is the best way to do that. There's other avenues that should be pursued.
Any other one would like to comment? It's close, and we'll get to the committee. Okay.
Don't mind if I go first?
Commissioner Anderson.
All right, just real quick. Thank you to the Courthouse and Property Committee for the study session with the experts that y'all had. I encourage everybody, you can still go and watch it on YouTube or online. And it was really well done. I appreciate all the people they brought in, the hard work everybody did on it. Now, my thing has been, just kind of tell you where I'm at on this, the law as I understood, it's always been 1 acre and it had perk. That's the way I thought it always was. And perking to me has got a lot more than just septic. It's the soil, it's the flow of water, how the property drains. And I think it keeps us from building stuff on places that are rocky, low-lying areas that maybe we shouldn't be building on. But if you build a house on your own land, it's got a perk. Why should a developer get a break? Now, maybe they should. This has served us for years. 1 acre and it had the perks. Been that way for years. Nobody's taken anything away. It's always been the way it is. Things I have learned that and again, the 50% rate, I respect what Chris and them said, but to me, that's too high of a fail rate, period. It ought to be higher. It ought to be better than that. But if a septic tank fails, it's your house. It's one house. If a step system were to fail, conceivably, it could be hundreds of houses, depending on how big the system is. That's another concern I've got. The other thing I got out of the meeting, and I agree with this one, step systems need to be on a main road, so there's a chance maybe down the road you can have a sewer come to it. I heard the guy say that. I also heard the state guy mention that the state standards are very minimum and not high enough. The engineer at Shovel Power didn't have, he watched that part, and I won't put words in his mouth, but he had quite a bit to say about it. Shovel Power wants nothing to do with this, but the utility district wants nothing to do with it. Now, my thing is, I do feel a little better hearing that it Consolidated's pretty good at this. That's one thing. But as of right now, we do not have anybody to monitor, maintain, assure proper installation, and if there's a failure, who in the world is going to fix it? If it does fail, every plumber I've talked to says they don't know how to work on this thing. That concerns me. And a fail rate of 50%, no matter how minor or big, is too much for me. You can still build subdivisions. It's just always been 1 acre and it needs to perk. And I do think we're getting away from the perking. If we ever get away from the perking, I'm concerned we'll come after the 1 acre. And next thing you know, then here we go. We'll have 3 on an acre. Hope that doesn't happen. But obviously, guys, we have to do something. If it's not this, maybe we can sit down and work on something and come up with something. I have no problem with that either. But at TDEC and so the technology that's coming out and some of these emails, love to look at it. So I do think we can sit down and talk about it. And obviously, but as of right now, my concern is we don't have anybody that can fix them if it did fail and nobody to monitor them. After today, though, I do feel better because I think Consolidated's probably as good as they are at that. Who's going to pay Consolidated's my question. So it would come not from the taxpayer. It would strictly come from the people in the system. Well, y'all made me feel better on that one.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The real estate construction business is probably the single largest business in Bedford County. It employs thousands of workers, not just real estate agents, but it includes insurance, contractors, home builders, bankers, framers, plumbers, electricians, surveyors, lumber supply houses, loan processors, plant and shrubbery business, retail sales, concrete sales, home furnishing. The list goes on and on and on. If we pass a resolution like this, we are telling every one of these individual small business owners, every one of these contractors, every one of these self-employed people out there who have been so hammered the last 3 years in the real estate business. Interest rates at 7%. Qualifying is getting harder and harder. Homes are smaller and smaller. People don't want to sell their house because they have a 2% loan. They're not going to flip it to get a 7% loan unless they sell this high-priced property. Starter homes, $350,000. We are hammering the largest employer in the county, and this resolution right here just puts a death nail in any type of development. I cannot stand here and tell you that this commission isn't for small business people and isn't for the middle class and people who are working and property owners who are trying to make a living. If we take this option away, we're doing, like our codes director said, we're going to target our farmland, and because it's got good soils, there goes more farmland, which is what we don't want to happen. As far as the operation of these step systems, it's proven, Chris is exactly right. If you put them in faulty and cheap and don't monitor them, they're going to fail. But people can monitor this. They can work with it. And through the owners in there, and yes, they need to have some type of company like CUD in there that can monitor. And they have a process. I called the chairman of Consolidated Utility District and spoke with him. I asked him how many sites he had under contract. He said 9. How many employees? 131. And I asked him that specific question, how many plumbers do you have? He said, we don't have plumbers because we don't need plumbers. We have people who are technicians that work on this. We keep them in the field. We don't need a plumber. So that answers that question that's been brought up. But I'd like to ask some of our real estate people that are out there, we know there's legislation going on. What's the status of that legislation? Tad, I mean, you know more about it than anybody. What do you feel is happening on the state level, and like to speak to that to give us some comfort on it?
Well, I'm obviously not Tad. My name is Ashley Sugar. I'm the CEO of the Middle Tennessee Association of Realtors. But before this, I was working on the Hill in DC, and I run all the advocacy operations. So I have a hand. I know the legislation that was referred to today. That legislation actually is created by developers trying to put in better standards, to be better partners with their counties and with their cities. That's what they're trying to do, is create better systems. I know in the resolution it states, I think it says until TDEC is to upgrade their standards. Mm-hmm. The reason those standards haven't been upgraded is we live in a state that believes the power belongs in the local government, not in the state government. So TDEC is having a hard time getting standards, increased standards, because they want the local counties and cities to be able to make a decision for themselves. They don't want the state to come in and then have to make the standards for the counties and cities. So if you're going to be waiting for that, I think you're going to be waiting a long time. And I think that you can make detrimental damage in your county that you will not be able to heal from. There has been counties in the state countless times that has put in different measurements to try to stop growth. And there's counties that haven't been able to recover from those, and they're decaying. I don't think you guys want to see that here in your county. As far as step systems goes, yes, Rutherford County CUD has already said that they are willing to service Bedford County. So if your concern is step systems and them being able to be maintained well, that's not a problem. You can use the best. As everyone said, Rutherford County CUD has the best maintained systems in the entire state, in the entire region. So if you have access to the best, then why not use them? And I hear what you're saying, Commissioner, as far as you are open to other conversations. And so I'd implore you to, let's not do this tonight and let's have a conversation. Let's get folks to the table. I think everyone can agree we all want well-maintained step systems. I don't think anyone wants failing step systems. That's not what's good. But the schools in this county are on step systems. Are you not planning to build another school in the near future? Because you're going to have to. So you're not going to have step system available for that school. And I don't think it's fair to allow step systems for one individual and their single property, but not to everyone else. So you're going to afford the luxury to one, but not to all in your county. There is a lot of economic development happening in this county, and that's an amazing thing. Sending out the message that you are closed to step systems is going to make some businesses turn right around, and they're not going to come back. And that's not a message you want to send. I think we can definitely get something done as far as let's look at policies. Let's look at what we need to put in place to ensure that there are safe, well-maintained step systems in this county, but I don't truly believe that this resolution is the answer, and I don't think that's what everyone wants. I think we can all agree that's our goal, and so I think we can have that conversation. As far as where that bill is currently in the legislature, that is a bill I said is being brought forward by the developers, and it is backed by a bond. So there is some kind of assurance there that they can't just build a step system that's faulty and then leave it and you'll never be able to contact them again. They have a bond connected to it. That is the assurance. That is the tool that they have used to provide confidence to local counties and cities that step systems will be well maintained. And there all are alternative systems. And this resolution, I want to make it very clear, if it does pass tonight, all alternative wastewater systems will not be allowed, not just step systems. So that's a really important, and there is no deadline. There's no due date in here. It is until TDEC changes their standards. And as I mentioned, if we wait for that, we'll be waiting for a long time. And when the next school comes up in discussion, I'm not sure what we'll be doing because we don't have a step system access for that. So I think we can definitely get something done. That legislation, the legislator is expected to be ending mid-May or at the end of this month to May. So we'll see where that legislation goes. But I say we at least take a break and see where that goes. And if not, I know the folks that are behind that bill, and I'm sure they'll have no problem having a conversation with you. And they're local here, and they're very involved in Bedford County. So they would love to have that conversation. Happy to provide any resources we can.
I do want to remind everyone that we're just recommending this to the full commission. There's no action that we take tonight is final. We're just discussing it. This is where the open debate takes place. We've had a good open debate. I think everyone's got to speak that wanted to, and this is where it takes place, is in the standing committees. And this is great and good. I'm glad everyone was able to speak and the discussion's out. But we're just, it's up to the committee what they want to do. They can leave it in committee, they can defer it, they can push it on to the commission, and the commission will discuss and debate it. So it's just whatever the Rules Committee wants to do.
Mr. Chairman,
So,
I'd like
yes,
to move that we table this resolution.
I would before we vote on that, I would just like to say that, the intent behind this resolution, I think is really good, but you go to the state to get a permit to put in a step system. You go to the state to get a permit for a septic tank. It seems like to me that TDEC is where the rules and regulations are. And we as a county, I just don't really think have the authority to come in and say, no, you can't have a step system. So I think, if we were to do this, I think we would find ourselves in court very quickly. And so I just cannot support this.
I'm going to move to table, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson has got one more comment.
Hey, did you have one?
I did.
Okay.
I've had so many calls from everybody. I appreciate everybody calling, the realtors, the developers, the people that's for it, the people that's against it. Had a lot of good conversations and learned a lot. I know the state of Tennessee has very low standards. Step systems have minimum requirements for the reserve area. The land application is very low. They said they'd been trying to get that changed since 2017, but the guy that spoke with us said, that they developers were lobbying the state and they wouldn't change it. What I would like to see is our Planning and Zoning Commission go back and put some standards in place, because we do have to have good soil maps. There's a lot of rock here, so I think it's important that if we're going to do this, it's where the soil is good. And I would like to see the zoning and planning have a larger application area for the field lines than the state has. That way we could, that could be stronger, and we could do that. I think that would ease a lot of people's mind that are worried about if it failed and they had to hook onto a utility district. The utility district's not close by. They couldn't do that. Then they have to go in and buy the land from somebody else or take it or whatever. But if you have an adequate leach field, you don't have to worry about that. So I would like to see the Planning Commission, do that. And then we could still regulate it. If we end up doing that, we could regulate it where they are bonded and check on the other places that were mentioned here tonight.
Okay. Any other comments? Because Commissioner Vick's got a motion to table. Okay.
I just want to make one comment. Everybody in this room has been so respectful and nice tonight. It's been, I mean, and I know it's people on opposite sides, but that's what it's all about. So I commend everybody for that one. But I am going to say my fear here too is that farmland is exactly what this will attack down the road. That's exactly where these big developments are going to go. And that's something I just don't like seeing, to be honest with you, at all. That's why you have counties like Maury County and Coffee County doing moratoriums on development. My other concern, I'm just going to, where Mr. Vick was talking about the big developers and small businesses. These big developers come in, I'm sorry, guys, they don't use local realtors typically. It's all corporate, from the banking to the realtor to the lumber. It is what it is. I'm just setting the record straight on that. But this has been a great discussion. And obviously, if we're going to do something, you've got the place in Murfreesboro, that's awesome. I mean, that's my worry was we didn't have anything. And if we did, we didn't. So.
I would like to make a motion for zoning to do that.
Zoning already has this. Zoning is already doing this.
But I wish the leach field, like I said, and all of that was stronger than what the state of Tennessee requires, so that we don't have.
Honestly, would y'all be willing to look into that and see if we couldn't make it more stringent on this?
Chris can add what I'm going to say too, but I mean, we've all learned a lot in this, and things are changing as we speak on things. And I fully believe now that within our zoning document, and I hate to say John Freeman was right, oh Lord, but he did make a statement that night that I about died over. But I think some of this can be covered, Anita, in our zoning regs. But Lord have mercy, when we talk about all this, it's not just one little thing. It's all the things that we need to do. And this is going to take a lot of study sessions, and I want Amy there, and I want Bill there, and I want Mr. Cooper back there, and Darren back there. I want everybody to listen to what I have in my head, Chris has in his head, which is better, but we can do some of this. Yes, I feel like we can. And Chris is nodding his head, and I'll just leave it at that. So.
My motion to table with the understanding that planning is going to take a look at the concerns that Commissioner Epperson said and Commissioner Anderson said.
Okay, is that all right with you, Commissioner Epperson?
So if we table it, it can come back with the votes from you guys. Yeah, from the vote from our body. Yeah, and that's what, like I said, that's what I'd like to see is for you to make it just a stronger application area than what the state has.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, all opposed? Okay, good. We do have one last, and we're gonna go on through this because we've been here an hour and 15 minutes, and we've got two other standing committees to meet. Councilor Bobo as we've got another, the Industrial Development Board has another request from Central Mo, which we've supported many initiatives there and this and that, and helped them through pilot programs, which is payment in lieu of taxes. That was pilot programs usually. That's a little different type of pilot program when you got payment in lieu of taxes. But anyhow, they requested that. I think according to another letter, the city had taken action on it. Historically, and I'll read this very quickly, and then we can hopefully just going to pass it on to the commission. Historically, an expansion of this side would have been rendered to 10 or 15 year pilot, with at least 2 or 3 years being a zero, and then gradually increasing each year until it was fully taxable. Shortly after the Doosan project, the Shelbyville City Council rescinded the pilot schedule and decided that each deal should be approved on a case-by-case basis. This was submitted to them, and on March 13th, they granted it. So it's whatever the committee, y'all all should have got the same letter. Granted a 3-year pilot for the first year at 0% taxable, the second at 30%, the third at 70%, and the fourth fully taxable. So what's the wishes of the committee?
Send to the commission.
Second.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or discussion? So we're gonna push it on to the commission?
Or send it without a recommendation, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely, no recommendation.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So, thank you.
Sorry, brother. All right, I guess we're supposed to, it's about to fall off.
It makes it tight right here. What do you say?
You can't back up.
I'm second guessing by the thought.
Well, you can't. All right, we're going to call the Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Did you get that?
Are we on?
Are we on? Now I got it. All right, we're going to call the Public Safety Committee meeting to order. At this time, we'll ask Commissioner Boyd if he'll say a word of prayer.
Bow with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us come here tonight, dear Lord, to
discuss the business of the county. We ask that each decision made tonight, dear Lord, is best for the county and in accordance with your will, dear Lord. We ask that you bless each person here, both here on the commission and in the audience, dear Lord. Please keep us safe and protect us. Thank you for all the blessings that you've given us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, roll call. All members are here and present. Next will be the approval of the agenda as presented tonight.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next will be the approval of the March 18th Public Safety Committee meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next will be the reports to animal control, and we have these enclosed. I don't see-
Yeah, she is
Okay.
under the weather today.
Okay, so you do have a report in your package. Next will be the sheriff's report. And I did see him.
Yeah.
Oh, let me try it without that.
Well, this is so it'll go out live so they can
live.
hear it.
You want me to be your podium?
Yeah, come over here. Okay. Bedford County Sheriff's Department, I know y'all have this, so I'm not going to hit everything. Once again, patrolled over 2,000 miles a day, served 924 warrants in the month of March, processed 388 through the Bedford County Jail. We did 350 investigations, I think about 55 traffic accidents, 29 motorist assist, I guess I think 65 911 calls. The 17th Judicial Drug Task Force, 22 investigations. Again, I'm talking about the month of March. 22 investigations. Seized were 14 firearms, 3 vehicles, marijuana, methamphetamine, cocaine, hydrochloride, 34 doses of controlled prescription medication, most which is suspected to be basically fentanyl. I think the 17th also investigated 14 previously convicted felons, one which was out on supervised felony parole. So they were pretty busy. Even got my light bill in here. You want to hear it?
Unless it's cheaper than mine.
In March, in our court complex down there, our court security people scanned and searched, and this is just the month of March, 5,678 people as they came through. There were 34 court sessions with a total of 1,708 individual court cases. Our court deputies served 15 criminal and civil warrants, took 34 people into custody, and transported 148 inmates from the courtroom holdings. That's all I have, but I'm trying to answer any questions. And our jail administrator, Ronald Prince, is here.
Y'all have any questions for the sheriff?
Good. And I forgot to say, and you may laugh at this, but seriously, we're getting our bees in Monday. We've actually had, Dr. Perriman has given us, he gave the females, was it a 3 or 4 day course, I think. Then the males that are going to be, of course, they can't work out there at the same time, but we're going to get into the bee business. I had the man from Nashville, Sylvia knows his.
Paul
Yes, I think he was there today. He
from
said
Davidson County?
Huh?
That or the one that comes to teach?
The one that brought in the trees. He said they got in 200 and something trees.
Yeah.
today. So it's busy spot out there. Biggest garden in Bedford County, I think.
Any further questions? Any none, Ronald?
Thanks for having me. Like the sheriff said, the RB program, our inmates are really excited about that program. We think it's going to do good in teaching them responsibility. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit there. So on the sheriff fee, we have $2,767.64. The comp fee was $24. Commissary was up a little bit. It was $75.29.11, and our phones was $11,747.23, and we took in $2,850 on sex offenders. So we had a bunch of them report this week or this month in March. It was very busy for us. So.
Any further questions for Ronald? Thank you. Next, we'll have the EMA report.
I don't have anything to add on my report. I will say that last 3 weeks to a month, we have spent a lot of time in storm shelters. And I wanted to say thanks to our volunteers that do that and our churches that open those up for those people to come in. And it's been a rough time. We haven't had 3 in the afternoon or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We've had midnight, 2:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. So these folks were getting up out of bed and opening these places up. I just wanted to say thank you for them for doing that. We've just got started with the weather, so hopefully we won't have as many bad evenings that we have. So that's all I have.
Any further questions?
I'd like to comment on a wonderful out at Nearest Green this past weekend for the first responders. We had a great attendance to it, and it's really neat because of their mission to highlight all our public service. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next, we have the juvenile detention. She's not here.
Chevy report.
But your report's enclosed, and also probation report's enclosed. I don't know if I saw it. I hadn't seen it. Yep. But you do have the reports enclosed, so now we'll need to make an approval of the reports that are presented to us.
Make that motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any old business come before the committee? Hearing none. New business, we have one item on the agenda for new business, and that's a Motorola update. And Katie Stillwell, I think you're here to give us that update.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Commissioners, Mr. Mayor, my name is Kate Stillwell. I am the Program Director for Motorola Solutions, and I oversee the build-out for the state of Tennessee, for the Tennessee Advanced Communications Network System, which is part of what Bedford County is getting ready to come on to, right? So I do want to, before I introduce some of my colleagues over here, I do want to at least state for Motorola Solutions, we are a mission-critical public safety company. And I am embarrassed to be standing in front of you today. And I do want to be able to acknowledge specifically to the mayor that Motorola did fail to complete their integration in a timely fashion. That has been corrected. I do have some handouts for all of you to take a look at as well. The mayor has been very gracious over the past year and a half or so, as are his agencies that we've had to be able to work with. So he has been very open with Motorola. He's been very frustrated with Motorola. And I just want to say that I do own that. So for that, I do apologize. With that said, I do want to introduce two of my colleagues over here. Both of these gentlemen, the first one is Sean Erickson. He is our area sales manager with Motorola. He's got the territory for the entire state. And then we've got Quinn Sheridan. I almost forgot your name. We have Quinn Sheridan, and he's the sales manager for Bedford County. Is going to be one of his as well. So let me put this down.
Here's the commissioner here.
Okay, one of the first things we want to talk about, and I've split this in to make it a little bit easier, called Phase 1, Phase 2. Phase 1 is what was initially sold for Bedford County, a little over $5 million on that about 2.5 years ago. And that consisted of 6 sites. That's Gills Chapel, Lynch Hill, Rippey Ridge, Union Site, Eagleville. You guys were doing some work there, and Hawthorne Hills. So where we are right now, Gills Chapel is completed. Lynch Hill is completed. Rippey Ridge, we're 99% completed. All civil and technical effort is closed. Union Site, all civil and technical effort is closed. Eagleville, civil and technical effort has been completed. And Hawthorne Hills, civil is complete, lines and antennas, equipment is installed, and we'll give an update on that here in just a second. The only thing outstanding right now for Eagleville, you guys are not doing any forward movement with Eagleville, with the exception of receiving a generator pad out there. Bedford County is not paying for a generator for Eagleville. That is being sourced by that county to be able to do that, right? So phase 1 essentially is completed at 99% on that. Hawthorne Hills right now, we installed the equipment, we installed the lines and antennas. They finished that up actually today. Microwave is being installed next week on 4/21. They'll test throughout the week, and we expect to have both links optimized and the site on air prior to the end of April. So Hawthorne County is going to be wide trunking, or wide area network rather, and up and receiving to be able to do that. There's another piece on here that I call phase 2. So this phase 1 completes out what was sold a couple of years ago. Bedford County came back and said, hey, we would like to be able to add some additional stuff into specifically Hawthorne Hills, Rippey Ridge, and Union Site. So Hawthorne Hills is going to be getting a generator, an automatic transfer switch that's going to be hooked up to the building. And that's going to be for Hawthorne Hills. There's a 16-week lead time. This is actually purchased through Generac. That 16-week lead time is going to end around early July. And then Motorola will be back to install that, hook it up, and that way for Hawthorne Hills specifically, we'll have that backup power. So if that tower goes down, it will automatically switch over and come back up on backup power. Also Hawthorne Hills, and I didn't put it on here for some reason, Hawthorne Hills is also getting a UPS. So you guys are going to have everything for Hawthorne Hills sitting out there. Rippey Ridge, and I will let you know this as well, because Motorola did not handle this as well as they should have on this. Rippey Ridge and Union Site are both getting a generator, automatic transfer switch. Neither of them are getting a UPS because that's not going to be required. There's already something at that location for them. So I am working with our civil team. They have to drop a generator pad from the civil side. So you're going to see some activity out there, and Mr. Mayor will keep you up to date on that as well. One of the things I do not want to forget to mention, the state of Tennessee, TACN specifically, has also provided cost relief for Bedford County, and that is going to be in form of a reimbursement. That has already been handled with the mayor and the local finance folks a couple of weeks ago. So TACN has contributed to offset your cost and burden for the site or for the project. Are there any questions on this? So Bedford County as a whole right now with everything will be up before the end of April. All other sites are taken care of right now. And then we'll be back for phase 2 around July timeframe. But you will see some activity out there, specifically at Hawthorne Hills next week. That's the microwave coming on. And Mr. Mayor, as soon as we get that on air and wide area network out there, we'll go ahead and get an email sent to you from the project manager on that. Any questions?
Question.
Yes.
First of all, I appreciate you coming today to give us an update.
Of course.
It takes a lot to stand before a group of folks and say, hey, look, we dropped the ball. I really do appreciate that.
Of course.
In regards to, at what point, I'm just kind of curious, at what point did Motorola realize that, hey, we dropped the ball? It seemed like there's a lot of steps that happened. You know, something was installed as early as today on Hawthorne Hill.
Yep.
the other thing, it just seems like the ball has now started rolling. So when was the aha moment for Motorola or Bedford County that you feel like that folks realize, hey, there's a problem here in Bedford County?
Truth be told, it's actually when I stepped in.
Yes,
So prior to me being in place, there was a different manager and a different project manager running it. So essentially the way I like to kind of explain it, even to internal Motorola, I've had these discussions with them. We've lost a lot of money on Bedford County, along with the time. So, and any time we continue to delay, it gets worse and worse. So typically when I'm brought into this piece, it's gone very, very sideways. We've got the right people in place to finalize it out. I've met with the mayor a couple of times and also his agencies on that. Probably once the former manager and project manager stepped out, they're no longer with Motorola.
Yes, ma'am.
When I came in, you're doing financial reviews, you're looking at schedules. There was an override of about 14 months on this. So we should not be this late sitting here for Bedford County. Initially, when it was sold, Bedford County was going to be one of the first ones actually connected into TACN. You guys have had counties around you all connecting, and you guys were still sitting out there. And it's embarrassing. There's nothing else. It was poorly run. There's no excuses on that. Again, I've had to have the same conversations with Motorola, and this is where we're at. So when I did meet with the mayor several weeks ago, and essentially he was like, just get the shit done. That's what he essentially finished with, right? So what we do, and this is really my job, is to be able to get out there and get with Civil, get with the electricians, and get with some of these other folks that are supporting us to get it in. And they did it. And so we've got our microwave, all equipment has been in. So, and then the rest of we had a couple of things that we had to order up that we had in, but we just pull in from other sites from other states, not necessarily, because I don't want to take anything really from Tennessee. So I kind of borrow from Alabama or Louisiana. So they'll find out probably in about 2 months when they can't access their stuff.
So we're saying a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, fire got lit and things happened, huh?
Fire got lit, yes. And if you knew me, that was pretty quick on 3 weeks to light a fire.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Sincerely. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill.
Oh. They've been, yes, ma'am. They've been phenomenal to work with. So some of the information that was previously provided, this goes back to your aha moment, previously provided to Mr. Kitchens and the mayor and the other agencies was not as accurate as it should have been. It was, let me provide the information and kind of maybe they won't catch on to some of this stuff. We can't do it. I would love to say Bedford County was isolated on this. These same folks also handled about 4 other counties. And you guys are the last county I'm actually having this conversation with. So we've got the right people in place. State of Tennessee is very busy for me. We have a lot of build out with TACN. Jeff Gray, who is the TACN director, huge proponent for Bedford County. And I've had to have some very tough conversations with him as well. So everybody's all taken care of.
Director, I appreciate your time. Appreciate your effort.
Of course, my pleasure. Anything else?
Thank you.
We're good. Thank you.
All right, is there any announcements to come before this committee? Hearing none, motion to adjourn?
Call the Courthouse and Property Committee to order. All members are present. We'll ask Commissioner Thomas to open us in prayer.
Let's pray. Dear Lord God, thank you for this day, the blessings you have given us. Thank you for letting us gather here, Lord, peaceably. I pray you will bless us as we make decisions, Lord. I pray that all our decisions will honor you most of all, and that we'll put our faith in you above all other things. In Jesus' name, amen.
All righty. Commissioner Thomas may have to step out late in the meeting, so it's not going to be based on something we're dealing with or trying to avoid. He's got some previous personal things he needed to handle. So, all right. So we'll start off with our minute approval of March 18th, 2025 Courthouse and Property Committee meetings.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion or changes? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any public comments? All right. Seeing none, moving on. All right. Our first report is going to be the codes report. Don't have anything? All right. Does anybody got any questions? Should have that report internal. All righty. Any questions? All righty. Moving on to planning and zoning. Chris, step out. Okay. All right. You should have that report internal. All right. Any questions or anything on that? All right. Moving on. IT report.
I don't have anything to add to the report sitting in front of you, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer
All right,
them.
Thank you. All right, any questions for IT? All right, moving on. Fire department.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything to add to my report, but I will tell you this. In this past budget year, we've received in grants $78,170 thus far. Now, all this money has not come in yet. It flows in and out, and we've not received all of it yet, but that's what is committed.
That's great. Yeah, great job. Absolutely.
Just one other thing, I know Commissioner Adam and I have had a conversation about the baby box business. Yes. And I think there was some interest. I do have a copy of that contract. It's pretty detailed.
It is.
But just to let you know, we as Bedford County will not be signing that contract. It's with a different agency. We are just entertaining a place for them to install it. And I'm trying to get them to come down and see if it'll work where it would best fit at the fire department. It's kind of in an area that we don't use. There's a steel beam there in a corner. So if that works for them, we'll give them a place. But under no circumstances am I signing a contract for the financials or the upkeep or anything. It'll be between a third party. And if this happens to go through, I'll bring it back to you. And y'all will have to approve for that to be installed in the county's building. But right now, I don't know that. But just give you a heads up. And y'all, you understand what I'm talking about, a baby box? It's, okay.
If you need more information, it's the Safe Haven Baby Box. You can find it online. Just Google the name. They have videos and step-by-step instructions and what they're about and how they were formed. And First Choice Pregnancy Center has a lot of information on it as well. So if you have anything about that, you can, Mark or I can refer the questions to First Choice and their director or Safe Haven. They have a online virtual meeting coming up that I can ask questions. If anybody might have any, we can get more details on.
And I appreciate you bringing that up, Commissioner Thomas and the other Commissioner Thomas, because I think it's extremely important that we participate in things like this. And so I appreciate y'all doing that. And please bring us an update as it goes through. All right. Our next report is the E911 report. And before we kind of talk about that, I do want to say it's the National Telecommunicator Week. And so we appreciate all of our telecommunicators here in our county and throughout the state. So it's a great week to acknowledge them. And so I just thank them for their hard work over at the 911 Center, as well as the other telecommunicators we have. I know the Sheriff's Department has some, as well as the city police. So thank them for that. And you do have that 911 report in your packet. Any questions on that? All right, seeing none, moving on to Media GIS. I don't see him. You do have a report. All right, no questions. All right, moving on, county building projects update. Do you have anything for that, Mayor? Yeah, we do have that. I didn't know if you had anything to add. Okay. Any questions on that, guys? I'll give you a minute to review. This is always a lengthy page. Anything? All right, moving on. I'll need a motion to approve the reports.
Motion approved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, any old business? Oh, go ahead, sir.
Just to update you on the tree situation or what's going on with that. When they did that report, which we gave you guys some information, but it's a lot to navigate. And, but they had some immediate things they were concerned about in the tree falling. We did address that, but that's all we've done. Now they come back to quote the different components so we can bring that back to you. In that process, they feel like they're seeing some additional issues with that main tree. So again, we want to get more information for you before we would decide how to proceed. I mean, obviously we're taking care of the tree appropriately, but the question is, what's the journey going forward? So as soon as we get a little bit more information about that, we'll let you know.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. We could come up with some kind of long-term plan because, you know, it's something that, you know, you don't want to deal with, but you have to from time to time. So, all right. Any other old business that we're aware of? All right. We have new business, which is disposition of 2 county-owned parcels. I believe both of those are in the packet that was updated that we got just today, and we also got that digitally. So, Mr. Mayor, if you would.
All I was going to just say to you is constituents, some folks had reached out about 2 different pieces of property. I did ask the assessor's office, one, to confirm that the county does in fact own it, and that it's not encumbered or in some kind of way that they couldn't sell it. And according to the assessor, Rhonda Clanton, they are properties that the county owns. Now, I'm not sure which one you're looking at first, but the one on the hill in Bell Buckle on Bridge Street, that one right there. It was surprising to me that the county owned it, and it was right by a road, and nobody to this point had particularly asked about or done anything. We did inquire even with our agencies of the county to make sure that somebody didn't have some reason that they thought they needed that long term, and nobody seems to have any knowledge of why the county would have held it. And so it is owned by the county. It's on Bridge Street. It's right on that street. It could be sold if that winds up being the commission's intention, but it would have to be surplused. And it's sort of the same situation on the other piece of property. Now, that other piece of property is out in the Wheel area off of Whitaker Road. And I think the story goes something to the effect that maybe it was part of a bigger parcel at one time. Maybe some family got some divided, and then some things got evolved and changed. And there was that little small back corner that is landlocked. There's no road access to it. You can't get to it without crossing somebody's property. And I think at least a couple of the people that butt up to it had expressed some interest in buying it. Now, neither one of these are on the tax roll. So if we were to surplus them and sell them, in theory, they go back on the tax roll. But from the mayor's office perspective, I don't have any knowledge or reason to be for or against it. Like I said, she did say that they were not encumbered as far as they couldn't be sold, but they would have to be surplus.
So is Bridge Street, with that being in the hill, I know part of it's in the city and part of it's out of the city. Is anything in that so that would be only in the county, correct? That would not be in city limits of Belleville.
I'm not 100%. I don't think it's in the city limits. Now, maybe in their growth boundary, you know how they got some of that. But it is a county-owned piece of property according to Rhonda's office. So I gave you the information we had. It's certainly something that think about. And
so none of the emergency services, emergency management thought about that long-term of any need that they would have.
Right. We asked them because I had in my mind that maybe somebody thought at one time that could be a cell tower or something for future, but nobody seemed to come back with any comprehensive look at that. And again, in light of everything that was going on, it was not anticipated, at least from the county perspective, that there would need to be a site there. So, but again, I'm indifferent about it, but we can't really do anything with it unless the commission decides they want to surplus it and let it, and then it'd have to be sealed bids and the public notified and all that stuff. It'd just go through the process.
There would be it's not just one bid. It's whoever bids for it would have access.
Right. My understanding talking to the finance department is that if you choose to surplus it, that it would then go to the finance department because they would then have to go through the regular process of seal bids, public notification, so many days, whatever in between all. It would go but through the regular process at that point. But the commission would need to, I think would have to approve that in the end. But certainly from here, in theory, at some point, finance would have to have it to go through the process of seal bids and all stuff goes with that. That's what I think I know about that.
All right, thank you. All right, let's, we'll just take it piece by piece. We'll go this first one, which I think is Third Street, Bell Buckle, or Bridge Street, sorry. What's the will of the board or the group?
I would move to surplus.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. One thing I would ask, Mayor, if you would you mind reaching out to Bell Buckle just to make sure the fire department over there wouldn't see anything long-term that they might need it for, because it is on the other side of the tracks from their fire station. And if they don't, and that'll give us, 3 weeks before the commission to be able to address that then. I appreciate you doing that. All right, any other discussion on this piece? All right, we'll do a roll call just because it is tied to some. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neely?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. All right, now we'll go to the commission for decision on surplus. All right, let's go to the second piece of property, which is the landlocked piece of property out in Wheel. All right, I'll be open, entertain a motion.
Move to surplus.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that one? That one just doesn't seem like there could be any benefit to the county at all long-term because it's landlocked and, yeah. Yeah, so, all right, any other comment on that? All right, very good. Commissioner Thomas? Or
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Neely?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. All right, we'll send both of those to the commission for surplus. All right, any other new business? All right, any announcements? Motion to adjourn?